21st century superhuman. And I know that the answers are inside. Yeah, I am the 21st century superhuman. Now is the time. Come on everyone, let's celebrate. We are the children of the sun. I can see it when I look into your eyes. We are the same, and we are light, yeah, we are one. And we can make a difference, yeah, we can be the change it takes to make the world a lot more fun.
Hi there. I'm Carrie Ellis,
Hello,
author. Hey, Stuart, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, and it's lovely to be here in your lovely house.
Rockin'. Well, this is Carrie Ellis, author of 21st Century Superhuman. This is our 21st Century Superhuman show. And today we have with us Stuart Alexander Noble, who is a world traveler.
Yeah.
And who we've been talking like crazy ever since you got here about amazing, wonderful changes on planet Earth and reaping the benefits of the currency that we are.
Yes.
Stuart, tell us a little bit about this journey that you're on.
Well, to cut a long story short, I'm traveling around the planet for the next year or so, going with the flow. I decided 2 years ago to embark on this, but I didn't have any money. So I realized that what I have to give the world is accommodation, because that's what I need. So I joined Airbnb. People came from all over the world to stay with me. They put little drawing pins on my world map, and that became the journey which I am now embarking on. So I left Scotland about 2 months ago, New York, Canada, across Canada to the Rockies, and then down the west coast of America. And now I'm in wonderful Mexico for the next week, and then I'm hoping to go to Cuba, and then down the west coast of South America, hop over to New Zealand for Christmas, Australia, Indonesia, and then Asia, India, and then 3 months in Europe, and hopefully get back home. So the picture I've got is this lovely little thread that I'm part of, like a spider's web thread. And it's only 2 foot wide. That's my little footprints, 2 footprints.
Beautiful.
And I'm making this circle around the world and meeting people like you.
Yes. And what I would like to say, you got here because of a mutual friend, and
Absolutely.
people may be noticing that you have a Scottish accent, that you're from Scotland.
Really? Okay.
And what's really beautiful is I want everybody to note when Stuart talks, he's really speaking from a place of having created this alternative to money system over the last 30 years. So he's really been deep in it. Over possibly 600 communities in the world have implemented this system. And we know there are really probably several thousand alternative money systems that exist, but this is a really fine one called LETS, which stands for, Stuart, what does it stand
for? Local Exchange Trading System.
Yes.
Not a very good name, but it means that we can share services, energy, resources, things without using bank currency. And we've been doing it in my little village for 22 years now. And we've traded the equivalent of $3,000 worth of exchanges, and the energy keeps on circulating infinitely.
How many thousands of dollars of exchanges?
Equivalent to 3 million.
3 million. That's what I thought. You said
3
thousand,
million.
and I didn't think
Sorry,
that was right.
$3 million worth of exchanges.
And that's just in your town, or that's in a group of towns?
That's just in a small town, now roughly 150 families.
Wow.
All do things for each other using points instead of pounds or dollars. We just use points to keep things fair so that none of us are taking too much and none of us are giving too much. So we do this merry dance of reciprocal giving, what we want to give at the time, our services, our things, and receiving what we need at any given time. And it's been going now for 22 years, and it's working really well without me.
And what I wanted to point out is everything that you say, Stuart, kind of correlates back to this system. When you talk about the threads going around the world and how you decided what you needed in order to travel was places to stay, so you started renting out your rooms as Airbnb and doing Airbnb exchange with people. So we want to learn more about how you how you think about this, what is in your head, you know, that and your heart that
Yeah.
first of all, you might tell us a little bit about what caused you to develop this system.
Okay. Well, as usual with these processes, it starts from a bad place. I was a normal sleepy guy back 25 years ago. I had my own business selling hotels in Scotland using databases, which was quite radical at the time. And I took 2% commission for every property I sold. It was a numbers game, basically. It was fun, marketing, they call it. Um, However, on Black Wednesday in 1997, interest rates trebled overnight.
Hmm.
And I had 15 clients I was selling their hotels at that time. The following day, I only had 12. Three of them had committed suicide that night because of what the banks call negative equity. The cost of the money they'd borrowed was too expensive to maintain, and the value of their business was less than what they'd borrowed. So, unfortunately, these individuals thought that life wasn't worth continuing, and they died. What happened to
And you
me
know,
was
we have that happening today with farmers in India committing
absolutely,
suicide because of debt that goes
absolutely,
on for generations, and this is
yes,
serious. Yeah, so go
yes.
ahead. So your
One
heart
fifth
was
of one
touched.
fifth my heart opened up actually,
Hmm.
because that's when I fell from being a head guy with numbers and words and stuff, and really feeling the pain of the results of these systems which I was brought up to believe in. So I felt duped, I felt cheated, I felt ashamed that I was part of this system. I felt there was something wrong that I hadn't been told. I didn't understand at that time the trouble with money. It took me to get off the bus before I realized what the bus looked like. Um, so I decided that I couldn't work with this money system anymore. I decided to live without money, which was a interesting point. I decided I wouldn't pay any more taxes, income taxes, because they were using my money for things I didn't want, like wars and stuff. I didn't want to contribute to that. So I decided that I was going to live without money. That was interesting. Very
And
quickly, I
you had
realized
a wife and a child at the
I
time,
had a
right?
wife and a child and a mortgage.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
all the
very
trappings
interesting.
of a pretty well privileged life at that time.
But when we put our energy to something, you ended up winning some award that paid off your mortgage, correct?
Eventually, further down the line, the mortgage was
Hmm.
cleared from an award for being Scotland's best social entrepreneur, which I didn't even
Wow.
know what the words meant in those days, actually. But I was really pleased to know that that's why I am a social entrepreneur. Hey. Um, so it was from a bad place. How I started it was I discovered in Australia the system called Let's. And I looked at it, and using my business and marketing background, I could see how it needed improving to make it even more effective. So that's really what I added to the existing model at the time. Just basically clearer communication, more transparency, more efficient systems. And we created this model called New Murray Let's. How we started it, it was the day before the Labour government was voted into British government. It was quite interesting. I invited a mixed group of friends to my garden. There was artists, there was gardeners, there was business people, there was young people, old people, people with mental health problems, musicians. All kinds of people came to that party. I stood in the steps of my garden and I just said this very simply. I said, look, money ain't working for us in our town anymore. There isn't enough to go round. I don't like how it works. I'm proposing that we start working for each other instead of working for a company for points instead of pounds. A point is worth a pound, let's say. Um, I'm offering to keep the record for the points and also to produce a little newsletter advertising what we have to offer and, very importantly, what it is that we need and what we want. So that's how it started. 30 people joined. They paid £5 or $7 each to contribute towards the cost of paper and ink and stuff. We've never had to ask them for more money in 21 years because we don't need that currency for very much things. Um, so we joined. The first transaction was with a hairdresser. I paid the local hairdresser 10 points for cutting my hair. So I was now minus 10 points. She had 10 credits. I had 10 debits. I had to earn my points back by doing something for someone else in the 30. So I fixed a computer and earned back 20 points. So I was now plus 10. This person was minus 20 and the hairdresser had 10 credits. She spent her credits on some vegetables that a neighbor was growing.
So
And
it's
that's how it started.
interesting. You started out with everyone at zero instead
Correct,
of people like saying, I've got to put $100 in, or I've got to put
correct,
something in to start it. So
correct.
that's what's very interesting. And what you've been bouncing back and forth with
Yes,
me is there has to be that give and take of positive and negative,
correct,
because like everybody comes in and starts at zero. So you give
correct.
something and then
Yes,
you receive something in return,
correct.
and it goes back and forth and grows that
Yes.
way, which is amazing.
All energy works with the current working through two polarities. It's
Mm,
really simple. So when you
very
start
good.
to create energy, you're standing in a bouncy castle. Someone has to start jumping, and when they start jumping, people start to bounce, right? So that's kind of what happens. All we had to do was to create credit by creating, yes, debt. Half of us went into debt, half of us went to credit, and then keep processing and keep passing the credits and debits around the group.
But you don't call it debt, right?
Don't call it debt, we call it commitment. When someone is in minus points, they're part of the dance. Someone needs to lead, someone needs to follow. But when someone's in minus, we call it minus, that's commitment. That's a commitment for that person to do something for someone else. And when someone's in credit, that is their commitment to spend those credits back to the community that they earned the credits from. It's really
And
simple.
so to come back to what you're spending, you put it in units of time, correct? As
Um,
or do you put it in? You call it five somethings is a let's, right?
uh, we call our currency a LET, which stands for a local exchange token.
Local exchange token. Okay.
Some groups give them their currency names, like dragons,
Hmm.
acorns. The name really isn't important. Um, the important principle is that we all need to participate in a reciprocal behavior to give and to receive for everyone to flourish. It's really that simple. There are limits to how much we're allowed to go into commitment because in the monetary system, people seem to be learning how to keep on taking, take, get something for nothing, take. And others seem to be giving too much, give, and they burn out. So the let system encourages us to, when we have too many credits, we have to spend them. Our checks bounce if they take us over our higher limit and our lower limit. So if we're too much in minus or too much in credit, the checks are returned to the person to find a different way to pay.
Wow. So
So we
how do you have a certain amount that is your too high and too low?
Yep. To start with, new members have an exchange limit of plus or minus 200 points,
Oh
or
wow.
$300, say. Um, in time, as they learn how to reciprocate and find out what they have to give and how to ask for things they need, their turnover increases. So, for example, if I earn 1,000 points and I spend 1,000 points, that's a turnover of 2,000. It's not just the income, it's also the expenditure. When my turnover increases to 2,000 units, my exchange limit is 10% of that. Now, what that means is that when my turnover increases to 10,000, when I earn 5,000 and spend back 5,000, my turnover is now 10,000. My
Mm.
balance is still zero. I've spent 5,000, I've earned 5,000. I can now trade up to 10% of 5,000, which is 500. So we earn the trust to earn or spend more within the community, and
Mm.
everyone has this work to the same rules. Many of us now have traded more than 100,000, so
Wow.
we can earn or spend up to 10,000. So I
And
can
when you've explained to me, if you say you've traded 100,000, it means you've spent 50,000 and earned 50,000. Kind of.
correct.
It's always
It's a
equal,
combination of the credits and the debits. It's
right?
a bit tricky with the maths, but
Hmm.
every transaction is actually a pair of transactions. It's not one transaction. It's not just paying a credit from me to the bank.
Right.
It's two transactions. There's a credit to one person and there's a
Hmm.
debit to one person.
Very
It's
good.
called it's called double entry bookkeeping in accountancy terms, but the
Right.
banking system doesn't reveal this.
But
We
I might have a debit with you, and then I might have a credit to Judy. I mean, we might. It's not always going to be with the same person.
Correct.
Like
That's the
giving you.
beauty of a let system. It's not barter. Barter is where You have something I need, and I have something you need, and we come to a mutual agreement and we trade.
Right.
I can earn from you and spend with the third person. You might not have what I need. The third person is what I need. So
Right.
it's like a community barter system. But the points, the points that I earn from one person can be spent with another person in the group. The
Correct.
important thing is there is no interest involved. People aren't penalized for being in minus, and they're
Right.
certainly not rewarded for being in credit. All they're doing is participating in the dance of energy exchange.
Beautiful.
So, so why should one half of the dance be credited and one half of the dance be penalized? This is
Right.
how the banking system works. This is why it's polarizing into the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. It's designed that way.
Right.
The lit system is designed to encourage reciprocity. Nobody, people can earn as much or as little as they want, earn and spend as much as little as they want, or earn and spend a little amount. It's the same for everyone.
Right.
We've traders who earn and spend a lot, traders who earn and spend a little. But
Beautiful.
we compete to see who can earn and spend the most.
That is really cool. So one of the things that you've kind of driven home as we've been talking about this is that this is designed to be predominantly a local system. Although there may be elements of it that will be able to go worldwide and change between communities, the
Yes,
core of it, the heart and soul of it, is a whole lot of little local communities. In fact,
yes,
if it gets too big, you almost need to divide. Like you said, I'm in a town of 2,000. It's almost big enough to really run 4 or 5 different
yes, yes,
exchange units. And
yep.
tell us again what LET stands for.
Stands
Local
for Local Exchange Trading System. And
Local Exchange Trading System.
trading system. And it's interesting, Carrie, because as our system grew, when I was writing the directory and writing the words to my friends, it was coming from here. They knew
Right.
me. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be too conscious about being politically correct. They know my humor. They know my non-PC nature. They still
Right.
love me for that.
Mm-hmm.
But once the membership grew beyond about 12 dozen, 150, there were people joining that I didn't know. And when
Mm.
I was writing the words, I had to be much more mindful about how would a stranger perceive what I'm saying? And it
Right.
changed the actual spirit of the group.
Mm-hmm.
The trust the trust worked well up to about 150 people. Once we grew to about 700 people, it became a bit of a that instead of an us. It's quite interesting. And the trust bonds, the relationships between people started to diminish. It's kind of why most people on Facebook only have 150 really good friends, people you
Right.
can name. There's a limit to how many people we can actually relate to in a physical human level. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking here about broadcasting to millions. I'm talking about actually having a
Right.
meaningful relationship between other human beings. That's people you
Right.
can name and touch.
Mm-hmm.
150 is actually a lot for some people.
Right.
So our group got so big, we decided that what we had to do is to make it, instead of trying to become bigger and bigger like the infinity bubble that was going to burst one day, we
Mm-hmm.
decided to make it smaller and smaller, like daffodil bulbs do. Daffodil bulbs don't grow
Mm.
ginormous. They break into little clones and they give off bulbets.
Beautiful.
And then grow into full daffodil sized
Oh,
bulbs.
and tulips do that. Yeah, I as a gardener,
Nature
I've
does
seen
that.
those bulbs. Yeah, onions do that.
Nature is
Hmm.
the best organization,
Yes,
the
how
best.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
right.
Nature's guided the system that we created all the way. I come from Findhorn, so nature connection is an important feature of my community.
Yes, that's a beautiful essence for this to be flowing forth from,
Yeah,
something that
yeah,
created a vision of hope and connection to nature in the world
yeah,
many years ago.
absolutely. And there is a scale in nature and a scale in a healthy economic system too. So we made our system smaller. We had 3 smaller groups. Each group got a local edition of their Let's directory with all the ads in it, and they were therefore encouraged to trade with the people living closest to them and not the people living furthest away from them. So that created the community, the connection, the physical relationships between people in each neighborhood.
And you've been really clear that we need different kinds of people, which might be a gardener or somebody who
Absolutely.
is a good mechanic, not just
Yes.
people who are, conscious and have new ideas. You
Yeah.
really need practical people, artisans,
Yeah.
artists,
Absolutely.
bakers, candlestick
Yes.
makers.
Absolutely. Well, there's lots of groups working, for example, in the therapy section. I'm sure lots of your audience have been involved in therapists, and you do swaps.
Uh-huh.
I'll give you
Right.
a massage, you give me a Reiki, whatever.
Right.
Now that's all very well, but the people that really need therapy are the farmers. It's the guys that's digging holes in the roads that have got sore backs, that have got bad
Right.
feet.
And probably
So,
would never pay for it. So if they
well,
can do an
exactly.
exchange with somebody, how
Yes.
beautiful is that?
And in my community, the farmers don't mix with the therapists. They're actually like different tribes.
Right.
They feel like different tribes, and there's lots of
Mhm.
judgments within that. But
Right.
to start an economic community in this level, I intentionally brought in lots of people from different parts of the community because I realized they all need each other. If we don't have people with mental health issues, then the psychotherapists don't have work. If we don't have ill people, then the healers don't have work. If we don't have consumers, the growers don't have work. So we need everybody in a diverse economic
Did
community.
you feel like this kind of melted down some of the beliefs people had about each other, or maybe judgments, as you said?
Yeah. When people can meet in a non-judgmental arena, the judgments quickly disappear.
And just
Uh,
think, it's money that has divided us so greatly, and yet
absolutely.
a true proper, a true right energy exchange
Yeah.
system could
It
actually
brings people
heal
together.
that, bring people
Absolutely. It
together.
brings
Yeah.
people together. It's absolutely true. In Scotland, we have whole villages of old people. Now, if I'm going to be an old person one day, I want to be around young people.
Yeah.
But the kids are in a different part of town. The teenagers are in a different part of town. The old people, we're all been, gravitating towards different places. The rich
Right.
people are all going to Monaco, So
Hmm.
the money that they harvested from my town is now being spent in a different part of the planet, and it's not
Right.
it's not around anymore. It's
Hmm.
not there. The lets money stays in the community forever.
In a minute, we'll take a look at a few slides that will show us some images that kind of can help us relate a little more to the structure.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a really poignant question that I think will come up for a lot of people. You know, in this culture, we're programmed by the system to have a hunger for money, and I see it in little villages. I see people wanting to go to the city and make more money so they can get a motorcycle or a car and nicer, fancier clothes, which are being sold to us by the corporations and the
Yeah.
advertising industry.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that is a real something that we have to deal with inside of ourselves. How have you dealt with that? Like
Mm.
releasing, obviously you had the big break that happened when you had that
Yes.
event that
Yes.
opened up your
Yes.
heart. And I think there's a
Yes.
lot of us living on the planet today, I know there are, who are ready
Yeah.
to move beyond the monetary system.
Yeah.
But still, I know something inside of us goes, but how am I going to get along without making money? I mean, where does it come from if I have to go buy an airline ticket or do
Yeah.
something? And how does exchange work with the rest of the world?
Yeah.
How do we blend these two possibilities?
Yeah. Well, I paid off my mortgage 8 years earlier because the bank currency that I still continued to earn in different ways. I sold stuff. I made some old money in different ways, dealing with the world
That's a
outside my
nice name.
community.
You call it old money.
It is old money now. Of
I
my
like
world,
that.
it's old money.
Yeah.
But I still need old money to travel here. For example, the air flight wouldn't accept local tokens.
Right.
Um, but I paid off my mortgage 8 years earlier, saving a fortune, by the way, because debt is very, very expensive. It's
Very
designed that
expensive.
what's called
Yes.
a mortgage, a gauge of debt.
Hmm.
So I paid off a mortgage earlier by using the local currency to to avoid paying money for things that I didn't need to pay money for. So I got all my vegetables locally.
Mm.
I got my gifts locally, homemade by friends of mine. I started to realize in the process of giving up the bank currency that my quality of life was improving. I got better quality food because it was grown by my neighbor.
Mm.
Some of my neighbors cooked dinner for me, and it was cooked by a friend in her kitchen, by a
Mm.
proper Chinese woman cooking
Ah,
me a Chinese meal every week. Um, I didn't need all the trappings of money. I didn't need a car to live locally. I needed a bicycle, so I bought a bicycle for lets. I
mm.
sold the car and put the money in the bank. And within 8 years earlier, I paid off the mortgage, and I'm free of debt now. And I will never
Nice.
ever buy money again. It's it's
Mm.
it's um, it's the road to hell as far as I'm concerned. And I've just come from Las Vegas, and I saw the crazy amount of materialism in that city,
Mhm.
and the crazy amount of millions, billions of pounds of bank currency and gambling currency and financial currency that goes on there. And I wasn't comfortable there at all. I don't think people there were very happy. I really had experienced they weren't happy. And I've traveled in places that might seem financially poor, and I've seen a lot more shiny eyes and smiles in places where there may be financial poverty, but there's spiritual abundance and there's emotional abundance and there's connectivity between people.
Yes.
And that's maybe what the people that chase money are missing and craving, and that's what's
Right.
killing them.
Hmm.
That's what's killing them. That's what was killing me. Um,
Yes.
and that's why I had to make a transition and
Hmm.
live a different way.
Well, I've stepped out of the system a lot and I live very simply.
Yeah,
I do trades for things. I mean, I've done caretaking houses for a number of years now,
yeah,
which
yeah,
has served me really well.
yeah,
And but I could see this making my life richer if I could begin we already do a lot of like people do things for us for less because we're doing something for them. But if
yes,
we could establish something like this in our community, it would kind of make us richer, really, because we wouldn't feel like we had to spend money on every single thing we did.
yes,
And
that's right. Yeah,
I would really like this idea. So
yeah. And
I'm
you'd be amazed how many people that you don't know yet that live very close to you have the very things that you might need, the very answers to the questions that you might have, and they're
right.
probably, and I'm talking to everybody here, they're probably living quite close to you.
Hmm.
Facebook has shown us how connected our friends are. The first thing we do when we become friends, you see which other friends you know. We're all 6 steps removed.
Right.
We're all much more closer connected
And
than
I think it's less than
we
that
used
these
to be.
days. Probably one or
Possibly,
two
yeah.
steps.
Yeah, I agree. I quite agree. We're becoming
Yeah.
more and more connected as time passes. That's for sure.
So I know people are going to be wondering, well, how do I do this? How do we implement it? And I know people already who are implementing different types of exchange
Yep,
programs in different
yep,
communities. So I think there will be a lot of them interested in more detail on this. I know you have a
yeah,
website, a very simple website.
yeah, yeah,
Because you've been doing this for 30 years and you're out traveling the world to kind of reclaim kind of your own connection to life and expand that. Um,
humanity.
yes, connecting with humanity. You don't necessarily want to spend a lot of time teaching people about this,
No,
but you have some really good resources available.
yes,
One is the kit, which it is downloadable at your website. We will put the link under this video,
excellent.
and it will also be downloadable at my website. And then there's also kind of a directory to give you a sample directory. So
Yeah,
mostly you've been doing this by hand and a little bit on the computer for the last 30 years,
yeah,
correct?
yeah.
And people in
Correct.
communities run it by hand. However, you have a dream of bringing it
Well,
into the modern age, maybe?
yeah, we actually work it from a database we call System Administration Manager. That took a lot of time to develop. So basically, data goes in once. It can be operated by a 12-year-old. My 12-year-old daughter did the administration for our community bank and produced our community newsletter. So all the reports are generated automatically. It's super efficient. It saves a lot of time. Um, but over the time, I've realized that it's not enough to just live in a local community. Lots of us are world travelers. Lots of us have friends and family, people who want to trade with throughout the planet. So how do we scale this up? And the dream and the answer is actually the app. So I'm reaching out to your readers. If there is a genius app designer out there, I have the templates, the model, the principles, the operating methods, ideology in here and on mind maps. I need an app like Uber, like Airbnb, a platform for peer-to-peer currency. Now, I say peer-to-peer. The money will not exist in a central bank. You don't borrow the points from the admin or the management or the central bank or from Stuart Noble, indeed. When you trade with someone, you trade directly with that person. So this is a different model from Bitcoin or money systems. This is peer-to-peer currency. And the dream is that I, Carrie, can come to your house. I can bump my phone to your phone. I can punch in 20 units, and those 20 units will be debited from my phone, ting, and we go to the cloud, bounce off, and be credited into your phone. Ting. You can take those credits anywhere on the planet and ting with whoever you would like to ting with. That's the transaction exchange. It doesn't need massive security systems because only you and I are the payer of the transaction. No one can pay themselves a credit without the debit coming from a different account. That's the security. If it's impossible to cheat the system when there's only two participants that are aware of the transaction. That's the first half. The second half is of the app is I am here. So Stuart Noble is now in Shula, near Bacalar. I may be willing to offer workshops in Let's. I can decorate, I can teach guitar, I can do some gardening. I might be willing to do that now. If you were to have this visionary app, you would see who is available in your local community right now to wash the dishes or to give you a lift into town or to look after the kids or to prune your rose bush or whatever. So the visualization of this app is very real, and it's a global app for people to trade with each other wherever they are locally now. What it is not is a means to send money to someone 1,000 miles away. We'll leave that stuff to the financial bankers. What I'm trying to encourage is local people connecting with local people anywhere in the world and to trade fairly without using interest-based bank currency. It's a really simple system. I don't get rich from this. I don't take a cut or a percentage like the banks do. It's simply a tool that I can use like you can. But I need the app magician to step forward to help co-create this. I have the blueprints, the models, 30 years experience with different groups and how to make this real, but I need the guy that can write the code to make this a very simple app for the rest of humanity.
And you would like that to happen through Let's currency, right?
The currency that we can offer, because we don't have bank currency to use for this, yes, we might ask for a sponsor to give us, a bunch of dollars or pounds to kickstart the thing, but actually to attract the right kind of person who's not interested in getting bank rich, we would invite that person to accept the global trading currency, which is generated by the system that we create. That's the
Beautiful.
deal. And in that process, that person will then have to spend those global credits back into the community instead of taking the dollars and giving it back to the bankers. It has to be reinvested back into the system all the time.
Beautiful.
That's what makes it work. That's what makes it grow.
Beautiful.
So we use the
Very
currency.
exciting.
Yeah.
And it's like something that's been percolating and growing and honing itself and being put into practice for 30 years is ready to enter this age
Yes.
to unite us as a global community. And even so, it's still important that people have local Let's groups. Is that
Local
correct?
connections. Yes, because physical trading happens locally, and we're really trying to bring back the connection between local people where they live and the environment in which they live. That
And I
means
would
buying your
think,
potatoes from your neighbor instead of buying it from Cairo or
right,
whatever. It means bringing things back into our
right.
local world wherever we find ourselves.
And I would think that that would make healthier communities.
Oh, absolutely,
And I mean,
absolutely.
I think one problem is if there gets to be an app and it's people like you and me who are conscious and sharing knowledge and traveling, if we're the only
Yeah.
ones who use it,
Yes.
then we miss out sharing this concept with local villages and people who may be operating, just as farmers or
Yes.
as
Well, we need
welders.
farmers.
Yeah,
Nomad digital travelers need food too, wherever their bodies are. So,
true.
and we need healthcare wherever our bodies are, and we need transport wherever our bodies are. So, we're talking about creating a fair way to exchange with local people wherever we are across the planet. That's the vision behind um, the Lexi system. I think we both contrived that word, but the
Hmm.
Lexi system, the local exchange global trading system.
Yes.
There's lots of models of this. There's lots of people out there doing marketplaces. There's PayPal, of course, but they're
Right.
all tied to the dollar or to the central banking system. They're still
Correct.
tied to the bankers.
Yeah.
I'm not out to get the bankers. I'm just
No.
out to help people who don't have enough of bank currency to continue to give what they've got to offer without cash being available. If cash becomes less abundant because of interest rates or monetary policy, that we still have the same resources, things, properties, houses, energy, time that we had before any currency crashes, any banking system collapses. We just need
Right.
a way to share them. And the way to share them is to give and to receive. Give a bit, receive a bit. It's like how I breathe. I don't worry. I don't wake up in the morning and breathe in a thousand breaths because I'm going to need them later. I just breathe in once and breathe
Right.
out once. Give, receive,
I
offer,
think that's where that
bit.
Bible quote that says, see the little sparrow and God feeds them. I don't know exactly
Yeah,
how it is, but he feeds them every day. I mean, we get what we need in the moment. And
human beings are the only species on this planet that needs money to share energy.
yeah,
And we become imprisoned by it. It's
right.
created so much um, distortion. Some of
Yeah.
us are getting, dare I say it, too rich, that they've got
Hmm.
almost like more money than sense. They're
Right.
becoming crazy with too much money. They're spending it on crazier and crazier things.
Right.
But that is at the expense of the rest of us who can't earn enough because there isn't enough of that money here to earn.
Right.
So we're talking about a world where there's equanimity, where there's reciprocity. You can
Hmm.
earn as much as you want, but you have to spend them. Now, why doesn't the banking system say, well, we can heal the world right now? Let's just say that if you earn more than 1 million units a year, you have to spend them all back again, right? Go back to zero and earn another million. But the bankers, like turkeys, won't vote for Christmas. Turkeys don't vote for Christmas. And the bankers have got a pretty good system going that, as we all exchange our bank currency, they're taking a cut off the top, creaming off the top, and getting richer and richer and richer. The problem is the bottom of the pyramid, where I tend to be, and my friends tend to be, is
Yes.
that there isn't enough circulating. We can't
Right.
afford to buy their products anymore. We just
Right.
can't afford to live to
Hmm.
buy these products anymore. And the good side of that is we're having to be resourceful, enterprising. We're growing
Yes.
vegetables again. We're
Hmm.
making things. We're recycling
Hmm.
things, and it's
Yes.
actually it improves the quality of life. I
Right.
would not go back to a suit and tie and a 9 to 5 job to earn pieces of paper to mostly spend on the cost of going to work.
Yes. Right.
It's
That's
just a
exactly
different lifestyle, and
right.
I won't go back there.
Right. Well, should we take a look at just a few of these slides really quick?
Sure.
And a picture of you, world traveler, Stuart Alexander
Yes.
Noble,
Yes.
in this thread you see going through the world
Yes. And I'm
right now.
here right now. I'm
And you're
just
here.
in Mexico just now.
Yes. Beautiful. Let's see. Click on this. And this is a lovely
Oh,
sandbag house you built. It's just
yes.
beautiful.
Yes. That was built with local currency. The three people that helped me, one was a 78-year-old Chinese neighbor, one was a 12-year-old lad, Connell, and another woman friend. We filled the sandbags and we packed them down to make the walls. Most of this was done through recycled materials from the local recycling center. The doors I bought on eBay, they're 17th century church doors, and
Wow.
it kind of evolved really with Google. I just Googled how to make limecrete, and the wood was
Mm.
from local trees, and the soil roof was just from the garden. And the most beautiful thing about this building is this is the most beautiful part of the garden, and it was all created by nature. That's the roof of the building. Nature
Mm.
brought in the plants, the birds put them there, the seeds put them there, and it's the most beautiful part of my garden is the one that I didn't touch.
It's gorgeous. And you say people call you up and say, can we come and do a ceremony there or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah, yeah. I now rent this out for local currency. People hire it for meditation groups, for men's groups.
Nice.
It's got a particular energy to it, which is quite hard to explain. But there's no wireless in there. There's no electricity. The walls are 2 foot thick. It's built with spraying limecrete onto metal. It was made with bedsteads and junk and garbage as a metal framework, which was then
Wow.
sprayed with limecrete to become a building. And I built this. It took 2 years for me to make this, and the bank cost was next to nothing. I didn't need a mortgage,
Mm.
and I think realistically, I think I spent maybe £6,000 or $8,000 That was mostly for the limecrete, the sand, um, and maybe another 6,000 local Let's currency on labour and help. So
Beautiful.
I built a quarter house for 12,000
Beautiful.
12,000
I've
pounds. Yeah,
participated with friends building these kind of houses and have friends who
yeah,
have them, and they're lovely. The energy in
yeah,
them is so beautiful.
yeah.
Really
It's a great
nice.
place, great space.
And this was your drawing that's there. And so you do have a Facebook page with your travel on it. People can
Yes,
find you, Stuart
yes,
Alexander Noble,
yes.
and they can also find the Sandbag Sanctuary on Facebook.
Yeah, if they're interested in either the Sandbag Sanctuary, I've got a whole Facebook group to show the processes and how I made this. That drawing, the idea took 2 seconds. The drawing took 10 minutes. The building took 2 years. But
Mm,
that's the nature of physical 3D manifestation as opposed to.
right. Beautiful.
But no, people are welcome to ask friend request me on Facebook, Stuart Alexander Noble, and they can have a look at where I'm traveling. And if I'm passing through your neighborhood, I'm well up for doing an exchange for accommodation and dinner in exchange for talks to groups or whatever, guitar lessons, decorating,
Beautiful.
whatever. I'm quite up for exchanges on my journey.
Beautiful.
So yeah,
Perfect. And this is your YouTube channel. You actually channel music, and
yeah,
there are some videos there on the LET system as well.
yes. Well, I do music for fun, and that's what teaches me how to connect to a more creative place. When I create these videos, I'm watching my hands play the guitar.
Nice.
Um, Most of these videos are created by when I've been moved by something like Standing Rock or 9/11 or whatever, and the music just has to be expressed in some form. But also in that YouTube channel, there's lots of videos about our story in Let's. There's a great video about a Let system for school children called the Piglets,
Very
and
cool.
the children use pigs, notional pigs, to trade their things and to help each other with their studies and things. So
Nice.
there's many different kinds of models for local exchange trading systems. Some systems use hours to trade instead of uh, unitary unitary units. Some systems use apple seeds to trade and to count the tokens. There's many variations of exchange trading. Most of them need to be designed for local community, local environment, but they're all in there. Have a
Okay,
look.
great. And
Your
and
novel.
like you said, yours in your town is, you just call them tokens and you just
Yeah,
write them up on
cool.
a piece of paper. Like I give you 5 lets
Correct.
written
Yeah,
on a piece of paper.
yeah. We have our own Let's checkbooks, and we just write like a normal check. Pay, carry 10 Let's for a haircut.
Right.
And
We'll look at those in just a second.
let's look at the details. Yeah, yeah.
This is you so seriously telling about all the wonderful things you
Younger.
started talking about 20 and 30 years ago.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that's right.
Um,
Yes, yes.
inspiration, and that you've carried
Hello,
it.
young guy.
You've carried it all these years, and now you have those gray hairs of wisdom to really um, carry it to the
Yes,
next level for humanity.
my wizard beard. That's my
Yes.
town. That's my town. This
This
forest.
is a
Yes.
gorgeous town. I guess to those of us who live in America, we don't have too many towns that look like this. It looks like
Yeah.
there's a spaceship actually in the sky there.
Well, that street you're looking at, that street was flooded in our last really bad flood in the town. All these houses were underwater 15,
Wow.
20 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, while the householders were squabbling with the insurance companies to wait for the insurance money to come through, one friend, and this is her, Carmen, had just bought her house, didn't have insurance, and had no money. She joined the Let system. We all arrived at her house, ripped the plasterboard off, lift the carpets out. We got her up and running within 3 months. She was in pretty massive Let's debt, interest-free Let's debt. Carmen then paid that Let's debt off over the next 5 years, weeding vegetables for Earthshare, which was a local community
Gorgeous.
support agricultural scheme which I was involved in. So Carmen was back in our house before any of our neighbours because they were
Gorgeous.
waiting for the money system to kick in.
Beautiful.
That's a great story.
Very great
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
So this is your local Let's Link Scotland. And how many towns in Scotland went ahead and did this?
At the time, I think at its height, maybe there was maybe 30 or 40 different
Nice.
groups operating in Scotland. Some of them have failed. Interestingly, the ones that were funded to set up with bank currency failed when the funding stopped. Um, Another big problem is that the system relied on a champion, an individual who was very passionate about it. And when that person moved on, the system failed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in my local group, I learned from that. So we have automatic capacity building. Um, all of the administrative members, we call them the core group because they're the center of the trunk of the membership. They're not in the top of the pyramid. They're in the core of the organization. They're elected by the members to do specific tasks. So we have an individual who organizes the trade fairs and the social events, an individual who does the administrative transactions, an individual who organizes the distribution of the directories through people's letterboxes, an individual who deals with the bank money. We still use bank money. Um, we have to pay our website domain in bank money, and we have to buy inkjet cartridges for bank money. So we do use bank currency, but it's very, very small part of the operation. It's less than 1% of our turnover is bank money. Um, so the individuals have to train up their successor before they can step down. And it has to be to the satisfaction of the rest of the core group. So that's how the system is self-sustainable. Each person who does a management task must train up their successor to the approval of the core group before they can step down. And they normally serve for 2 years.
Nice.
And they
And
survive without me.
yeah, and what we're looking at is something called the kit that you developed,
Yes.
which has all these things outlined in it very well. Again, it's downloadable at your website. It will be downloadable at a page on my website
For free. For free.
for free. Yeah,
Yes.
yours is inscribed right now, which sometimes is a little hard for people to get it. So we're going to put it on mine as a backup as well, so it's easy
Yes,
to get.
please. Yeah.
Your local community is a pool of talent waiting to be tapped.
Yes.
And this kit will help you release that potential. We're not here to sell the kit. We just want to
No.
give this out.
Take it.
Yes,
Yes.
beautiful.
There's 20 years worth of experiential wisdom in here, not just from this guy, but from all the friends that I made and all the other groups that I've set up in Scotland.
Nice.
This is a really key part, and one that I really want to bring home to people. Many groups set up between, for example, arts and crafts. Sorry, I'm just noticing there's lots of hawks and buzzards flying over me just now, which is a very auspicious sign. Bring this to the world,
Yay.
people.
Yes, beautiful.
This is what I call the rainbow wheel of diversity. Now, you guys that are into chakras and stuff will recognize this is how your bodies work. That you need every part of your energy spectrum to be a functioning human being. A community has to apply the same principles of this human organization in a social setting. So it's very important for a community to have all the attributes of a body. So it needs a good heart. It needs carers, people that can
It's really beautiful, and I
look
can
after
see that
children.
these do resonate with the
Yes,
chakras. You know,
yes,
red at the
yes,
base, land and
yes,
accommodation, trades and
exactly.
transport,
Yes,
orange, that going out
yep,
extending into the world, arts and
that's right.
crafts, the
Yes,
expression of our creativity, health and
younger,
care
older.
of
Yeah,
the heart, and
yeah,
then communication, the
yeah,
throat chakra,
yeah,
education,
yeah,
advice and support.
correct.
Beautiful. Really
Yeah.
well done. Nice.
So when you want to set up a community, people out there, reach out for those that aren't like you. You may be an IT guy. Well, look out for the people that are the gardeners, the people opposite you. So you really need to bring together the key elements of your society, which you want to grow. Now, if you miss out a particular group, you will become their enemy. You will be them instead of us. So it's very important when you plant the seed for a Let's community to get the individuals who represent that part of the social community. So you need some business people in there. You need some technical people. You need some traditional people, older people with wisdom. You need young people in there. You need people with muscles and strength, people with skills, people with creative talent. And all of these individuals will start to help each other and help the system grow in a very
Beautiful.
holistic manner, very quickly up to its optimum scale
Go
of
ahead,
150
Stuart. I've
acres.
got a little noise.
Ooh, it's okay. It was a drone flying past. Okay. Right. This is the really operating cycle we're looking at here. It can be really simple. This is my daughter who, at the age of 12, is keying in the checks into the database. It's designed for children, this database. It had to be inclusive. This is not an expert system. This is a simple system where a child can operate. She can press a button and the whole directory is produced as a classified newspaper with all the offers and wants put in sorted order, emboldened, formatted at the press of a button. Now that used to take me like 3 nights to do that manually with formatting and copy and paste and all that stuff. The database now does this automatically at the press button. This is a
Nice.
classified newspaper generator plus a bank system, basically. The checks go in once and all the statements are created. So the data goes into the computer. The members write checks when they want to trade with each other. They give the piece of paper to the person that's getting paid. That person puts the check in the local community centre Let's box, which is emptied every week by the administrator who puts it into the computer. Every 3 months, our system works seasonally. So we work on a 3-month cycle. Every 3 months, we culminate in a trade fair. We take over the town hall. We supply the tables, and within 20 minutes, we have a community supermarket of maybe 50, 60, 70 tables of everything you can imagine, from chicken eggs to jams to chutneys to home bakes
Wow.
to second-hand clothes to things for sale to arts and crafts to people walking about with signs saying, I can fix your pipes or I can fix your car.
And that's all being done by trading with Let's tokens, right?
That's correct, yeah. And we
And
also have a notice board in the town where people can pin up their offers and their wants. Like, I want someone to paint my car or give me a bicycle. This has been replaced a lot by Facebook. We now have a secret Facebook page for members only, where members post their offers and wants. Can somebody look after my daughter tonight? Can somebody give me a lift to town? I've got too many apples here. Does anybody want some?
and so each town could have their own Facebook group, their own private Facebook group.
Absolutely, and it's free.
Yeah.
It's free. Whatever
Right.
we deride about Facebook, it's free. It works, and
Very
we're very
nice.
happy. We're very
Mhm.
happy it exists. Yes.
Cool, cool, cool. And so I just put this here because I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
This is, I can't really read it the way we're on top of it here. Let's see. Tips on listing your wants and offers. This is just a page out of the kit.
Yeah.
Let's is a group of people who agree to exchange their goods and services. I just thought that was
Yeah.
kind of a neat,
Yeah.
you know, and then it
This is a good
explains.
trading game. Yeah, this is a great way to introduce the system, how it works to people, because people find it quite hard to get this. People have problems with two things: how can I trade without money, and secondly, what have I got to offer? It's quite sad, but 9 out of 10 people don't know what they've got to offer, even though they've got a lifetime of experience to share. So the game teaches people how the units of energy move around individuals and how the balances go up and down in the process. It also encourages people to think about what they love doing. So just because I'm an accountant or a computer fixer doesn't mean to say I love the job. Perhaps I love flowers. So maybe I should think about an ad to say I can prune your roses, or I can chop your trees, or I can
Beautiful.
show you how to make your flowers bloom. So we encourage people to think about what they love doing, and to offer that then. I wouldn't like to be a painter and decorator every day of the year, and I wouldn't like to be a gardener every day of the year.
And that's
I
a
like
really good point. We're not designed to do the
no,
same thing over and over
no,
and over and
no.
over
It's
every day.
so
It's like
limiting.
dull, it's slavery, you know, it's just,
It is. It's monotone.
it
It's a
becomes
very dull world.
boring
No,
and
no,
yeah.
no. So the let system, I
Some
I
people
can
might,
offer.
but it's a generalization.
Yeah, yeah. No, so the idea is you do what you love doing, and everyone loves something, and it could be anything. Now, I've had a member who was blind, Joe. He lost his sight. He was an artist who lost his sight. He became diabetic and became blind. Joe said, well, what can I offer? And I said, Joe, what do you love? He said, I love music. And I said, can you record things off the radio for people? Can you make up playlists? Can you do DVDs? Yes. So Joe earned his points by doing what he loves, recording things off the radio, making up playlists, tapes, CDs, DVDs, playlists, etc. Joe,
Beautiful.
Joe spent his points on someone to remove the dog poo from his neighbours' gardens, because there
Oh,
was a huge problem with his neighbours for the blind man that couldn't remove his dog poo.
Oh,
And it involved the local authority having to send out highly paid people to come and clean the garden and create all. So Joe joined Let's, earned his points. Someone came and picked up the dog poo. Easy.
nice.
Um, I've got a friend who had a bad stroke. He used to charge people for pushing his wheelchair. People paid Jerry for pushing his wheelchair. Why? Because they got fit, because he was a funny man, and because they loved him, and because they appreciated the dignity of paying forward.
Nice.
Jerry spent his credits on aromatherapy, which is a treatment that worked for him and a treatment that the National Health Service wouldn't provide. Mary had no legs, but she was a great seamstress. So people gave their clothes to Mary to um, have to be darned and being sewed. Mary spent her points on people to come and replace her light bulbs, replacing the need for the local authority to send out a qualified electrician to drive 30 miles to change a bloody light bulb. She found a neighbour who would do it for free, actually, and we became
Beautiful.
community. So it introduces that everyone has something to offer and everyone loves something that they can share. That's the
Right. This
truth.
is just a little list here, kind of relating to some of that. I'll prune
Yeah.
your roses, lifts
Six
around your
lets an hour.
town. Hmm?
Yeah. Yeah. 6 lets an hour. People decide in their own price range, by the way. People say, well, how much is a let worth? I say to them, well, how much is a dollar worth? And that usually shuts people up. It changes day by day.
That's cute.
So when we start off, we tend to say, well, what's an hour worth? 10, 20. So let's work for 20 an hour, right? So, but people negotiate the rate between themselves.
Right.
An interesting thing is that very often people bring um, their conditioning from the monetary world into the community. In other words, people will say, well, I'm a software engineer. I charge, 200 units per hour. And equally, I'm a child carer. I only, I'm only a child carer. I only charge 5 units an hour. Why a child
Right.
less valuable for looking after a little human being than a human being that's fixing a machine? I
Right.
don't know. But anyway, people need to work through their values personally.
Few case studies. So New Moray, is this your town or when you're
This is the region that I
the
live in.
region? And
Forest is
that
the town.
and I love your little logo thing that's beautiful that contains the
How it goes,
colors and the chakras.
and how the love goes round. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, how the love goes round. That's
Well,
nice.
how the energy goes round.
How the
Yes.
energy goes around. So this is kind of, if we look at this, it's kind of a ledger, like where the red line is, we can just see there's your
That's me.
line in the accounting sort of, right?
Yes.
And
And my ex-wife is there. Yes, that was a while ago.
you
But
can explain that.
well, it's really important that people see each other's financial history. Why? Because we need to know who is in minus, who needs to earn points. They deserve the work more than anybody else because they've given more work to other people, right? People in credit have units of hours to spend back. So we don't hide away our bank balances in our secret wallet. Um,
Very good.
okay, we don't. We're not ashamed to show our statements to each other. It's a token of pride. So we show our balances. We reveal our balances. There's no shame in our let system. Being in minus isn't a shameful thing. It just means that at this point in time we are part. At this part in time, we are this part of the process instead of that part of the process. It's just a place of where we're at. If we're in minus, it encourages other members to offer work to that person, and if we're in big credit, it encourages other members to help us spend. So we publish our balances and we also publish our turnover. Our turnover is a measure of how active that person is, not just in spending, but also in earning. It's both sides of the coin. We measure both sides of the coin.
And you
So
explained to me, like by your name, it says
yeah,
12,532.
yep.
It means you've
Well,
spent and you've
uh,
earned and paid,
yeah, well,
right?
this was 10 years ago. I've traded a lot more than that since then. But at that time, I had earned and spent 12,500 units or pounds, let's dollars. But at that moment in time, my balance was 638. I had a bit of a bad habit of earning more than I could spend, and that's very typical of us men. I'm sorry to say, men tend to feel that we have to do everything for ourselves, be the perfect decorator, be the perfect gardener, be the fixers. That's very a male thing. I had to learn that I was actually an inverted, selfish person. that was a member told me this. A woman told me this. She said, Stuart, how come you're always putting your hand up and offering to help everyone? I said, because I can and because I enjoy helping people. She said, exactly. When you offer more than others, you prevent the rest of us from offering also. And I went, wow. I was an
Wow.
inverted selfish person. I love to give, but I don't like to
Mm.
ask for help. Now I ask people who need to learn how to decorate the house to decorate my house, even though I can do a better job. They're the people that maybe need to learn more. So it's a different way of thinking. If I've got too many credits, I need to concentrate on spending, and I spend it whether I can do it myself or not, because it's not my credits; it's owned by the membership.
And just a random note here, people may need to consider, does the taxation system require you to pay taxes on what you earn in an exchange system like this? And so people are wise enough to even everything out so they have a zero balance
Yeah.
several times during the year
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah. This is not a way to avoid paying tax. All big businesses know that if they spend their income, they have no profit to declare and they don't pay tax on a zero profit. This is why Google's and Amazon's don't pay much taxes in any country they operate in, because they make sure they spend the money into a different department or a different organization which is connected to them. So it's the same in Scotland. If I earn £1 million and I spend it on company on business needs, on staff, on my yacht in Monaco for doing my business presentations. If I spend all the money I've earned in the business, I only pay tax and profit, not an income. So this is not a tax evasion system, the local exchange trading system. There will be different taxation rules in different countries, of course. In Scotland, we have to declare our surplus in lets at the end of our financial year when we do our financial year end accounts. If I have 500 units, that is equivalent to £500. I have to declare that as profit, and I have to pay tax on that profit. So what I do is I just make sure I spend all my units every year. I try to go through zero every April, which is the start of the tax year. I make sure that I spend all the credits I've earned by April every year.
I
And I
like that.
also if I'm in deficit, if I'm in minus, that is tax deductible. That is the same as being in debt to a bank person or a
Wow.
bank indeed. So it's the same legal principles. There's nothing illegal about this. We have had endorsement from the British government and everything. This is an empowering system that gets people back to work. Many of our members who hadn't worked in an employment for years became business people. It goes both ways. Some people come out of the monetary system. Some people actually using it as a stepping stone to get into the banking system.
Wow.
It's just an extra currency.
And I
Is
really like what you said. I mean, what you explained earlier really helped me get that, if you're doing things with Let's and you're doing a lot of local exchange, the money
yeah,
that you do make, you can actually save and put into other areas
exactly,
more
exactly,
easily and accomplish
exactly,
more maybe. So I
exactly.
like this number here, and this was a long time ago. Total
Yes,
turnover in your
yeah,
town was
yeah,
289,000 Lets,
yeah,
and that was
yeah.
what, 20 years ago or something?
Oh, it's now just breaking the 2 million lets, which is equivalent to $3 million in your currency.
Wow.
Um, and the number of exchanges is 5 times that as well. So, and this just happens, people just
Right.
trade. Um, yeah, it works in its own volition now.
Right. That's very
Yeah,
good. So we're just going to look at a couple of case studies really quick.
yeah,
Our picture's in the way of this one again. I thought it was amazing. You have the Let's Community Cafe, and it completely runs on the Let's currency.
yeah,
Is that
yeah.
right?
Yeah, well,
Um,
it's open to the public out with lets, so they pay money for their coffee,
uh-huh.
which covers the cost of the coffee because we can't grow coffee in Scotland.
Right.
So it's a complement. We call it complementary currency. At this
Nice.
point in our evolution, it's a complementary currency. I don't know
Nice.
anyone really living completely in local currency. I know there are individuals living without money in the world, of course,
Right.
but it's an extra currency. It's also good for businesses. Um, if they have extra products or services that they're not using, to receive lets is better than nothing. So
Right.
they accept lets, and then they can spend the lets and getting their windows cleaned, or maybe having
Right.
someone help out clean the tables in the restaurant, or
Right.
or buy the extra crockery from the local trading group or whatever.
Right.
So it's not a replacement to the banking system yet, but you know, who knows? Who knows where this can go?
Right. And this one you founded in June of 1997.
Yes. Yeah.
Another, I like this other lady who had a clothing exchange and was
Yeah.
recycling things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so this is kind of,
People are incredibly enterprising
yes,
when they're giving the opportunity. I mean, I'm always amazed by the ideas that people come up with, especially children. I mean, I've got one young guy carved sticks, branches from trees, and sold them as walking sticks and as wands and things. You know,
how
it's
cool
hard
is
to.
that?
It's really cool. I mean, young people are full of ideas to
Right.
make things or to offer services which people
Beautiful.
need. It's all about what people need.
Yeah. And so on
Yeah.
the left, we have like an ad that might be in your publication.
Yeah.
And then on the right, we have a listing of different things that people are offering, ask
Yeah.
how much, car
Yeah.
repairs, Qigong group,
Yeah.
do it yourself for minor home repairs, garden help,
Yeah.
heavy,
Yeah.
architecture, just anything you can imagine pretty
You
much.
name it, it's there. Yeah. You name it, it's there. Yeah.
And this is another ad that was from
Yeah.
your public
Yeah.
publication.
We sell ads in the directory to help pay for the time it takes to create a directory by selling ads for local currency, just like
Nice.
the money system works. But
Yeah,
it's only local currency, so people can advertise using local currency, and
very good.
it's designed to. It's always the same price. It's I think it's something like 60 lets per full page ad per year per member. So as a membership grows, it costs more. As a membership shrinks, it costs less.
I'm getting rained on, are you?
Yeah, I'm getting rained on. Yeah, but that's
Well,
okay.
yeah, we just don't want our
You need to
computer to get
you need to
ruined.
pause. Yeah, you need to pause, and we'll
No, I think we're good. We'll see.
let's just
Maybe
run
it will.
through it. Let's
Huh?
run through it. Let's run through it. I think we'll be
Okay.
okay.
Yeah. So Gordon, I like it. He tells
Yeah.
the story that he had been bartering for 20 years,
Yes, that's
and
right.
then he got into this.
Yes, Gordon used to live out of skips. He wouldn't mind me saying that, but he would go around supermarkets and get food out of skips.
Wow.
Um, he had Gordon had his own issues. We're gonna have to stop, Carrie.
Well,
It's
you
it's raining.
need to change your spot. Why don't you just move to the kitchen,
Okay,
and we'll just pause for a minute.
okay. Let's go inside.
Let me hit pause.
Oh, sorry, I have to pay AirPods. Rain stopped play temporarily, but here we are again.
Yep. Here we are. Okay, so whoops, where's my screen sharing? Okay. Share full screen. Okay, there
Yeah.
we are. So you were telling Gordon used to pick up things in the dumpster. We
Yeah.
call them dumpsters in the States, but
Okay. Yeah. So Gordon came from a fairly harsh background, and he didn't find just the opportunity to trade in Let's, but he found family, and I'd not been too cheesy about that. People then started to respect him. This is a guy that loved chopping wood, and
uh-huh.
he would go into the woods and find logs and cut them up. Gordon is now the proud owner of his own tractor, and he runs a business, a moneyed business, selling wood commercially. When I met him recently, he said, half of the time I still do what I did in Let's, but half the time now I'm doing accounts, bank keeping, records, receipts, invoicing. So he's at the point of realizing that maybe life was easier and it was using local currency. It's much easier just to write a check than to deal with all the paraphernalia of stuff that's involved using money these
Right.
days.
I believe it. I agree. Very
Gordon is
good.
the top trader in our group. He bypassed me many years ago. He trades more than I do. He's
That
the
is.
top trader in the system now.
And I
Great
think
guy.
it is an art because I think we have to kind of deprogram ourselves out of the old system a little bit and
Yeah.
reprogram ourselves to operate in this way. So
Yeah.
obviously he'd already been practicing bartering, and
Yes.
it's sort of a whole new way of being. And I just wanted to put this one in here because at the bottom, like the administration,
Yeah.
newsletter publisher coordinator, they all earn something
Yeah.
and the people pay
Yeah.
into that in
Yeah.
order to help keep
Yes.
the
Yeah.
management of the system
Our,
going.
our members pay 5 lets per season to provide the income for the management group to operate.
Nice.
If we earn too much, we give it back to the members every year. If we don't have enough, we ask the members for a pay rise. We haven't asked the members for a pay rise for 6 years now.
Wow.
Everyone works for 10 lets an hour. It's a nice, easy number. It's a nice round.
Nice.
It's nice to work out.
Very
And
good.
we encourage the members to think about working for 10 lets an hour, but they don't have to. Some of
Mhm.
them want to charge 50 an hour, 30 an hour, less than that. It's up to individual choice. But
Nice.
all the core group work for the same rate, regardless of what the level of service is. 10
Nice.
lets per hour.
And so this is an example of one of your
Yeah.
checks.
Yep. Yep.
The date, I happily pay the sum of, amount in words, paid to,
Yep.
number in it, and then each person has a number in your system,
Yes.
right?
An account number. Yes.
Account number in exchange for and signed. And
Correct.
then this little thing down
A
here,
different design. That's our system. One of our members is very clever and very good at trying to save resources. So our checks are the size of a credit card, and we can print 9 of them per A4 page. So it's super efficient. There's no paper wastage, and it fits inside people's purses and wallets nice and easily.
how cool is that?
And it's big enough to fit the typeface for the size of the biggest name in the system.
Nice, very cool.
Yeah.
And this is you long ago with the
Yeah.
rainbow bowl
Jar.
there, rainbow
Yes.
jar. And
Yes.
this is, you're sharing Let's units between communities, is that right?
Yeah, this was the time when we were trying to come up with a way that groups could earn and spend lets with each other in different parts of Scotland, and we didn't know how we could do this, so we just did it anyway. So we had a 3-day festival in Findhorn, where over 500 people came, 150 visitors from all over Scotland. The rule was no one was allowed to volunteer for free, and secondly, no one could use bank currency. But everyone was open to provide all the cooking, the services, the cleaning, the childcare, the entertainment, the workshops were all paid for in local currency with their own checks. And all the checks went into this big jam jar that you see there. And then I had the task of working out how do we do the accounts. In the process of piling up the checks into order, we realized that we're creating a let system for let systems.
Nice.
The banks call this the clearinghouse process. When you use a specific bank voucher, a dollar, for one bank to pay Santander to pay a different bank, all they are doing is doing the same thing. They're tallying up the totals at the end of the clearing day and paying the balance from one to another. So we reinvented how to intertrade between communities, and this was the important dynamic which would allow this particular system to cover the whole planet.
Beautiful.
It's how cells work in our bodies. Each of our cells are sovereign. If they get too big, if they take too much energy from a different cell, they inflate and become cancerous. Equally, if they give too much to other cells, they become depleted and die. So each cell in our bodies are so clever that they give and receive information, share information indefinitely in a healthy body, and help the whole body thrive. The community structure of LETS is very similar to how cells work in our bodies. Each cell is a community of bacteria. Each community is a community of individual humans, and the communities of individual humans could intertrade with each other across the planet, applying the same principles. No community can earn too much. No community can spend too much. If they all
Gorgeous.
give and take from each other in different ways, different creative ways, and keep their accounts in balance without getting too big or too needy, the whole planet can thrive. It's based on nature.
Beautiful.
It's very simple.
Beautiful. So again, we're back to Stuart Alexander Noble traveling the world,
Yeah.
and people can find you on Facebook follow your
Yes.
travels. They can
Yeah.
invite you to come and stay at their place, to visit their
Yep.
place if you're
Yep.
somewhat on their route,
Yep.
and you'll do an exchange, speak to a group, play a guitar,
Yeah. Set up let
or
systems, whatever you want me
set
to
up lead
do, and I can.
systems. There you go.
Yeah, can set up a let system in a day. It might need some prior work in your part, but you would first need to download the development kit. There's lots of information in there how to convene the initial meeting, how to invite your friends round. It can be done in a house, it can be done in a garden, it can be done in a community centre. If you have 12 dozen individuals that have everything that they all need, okay, and that's an ask, because most of you only know the same kind of people. You IT guys know IT guys, you therapists know therapists.
Right.
So the kind of person that knows everybody in your community, that's the person you want. Usually a community worker who knows the different branches of the system, who knows the farmers, who knows the artists, who knows the businessmen, who knows the traders. If you can get a mixed bunch of people in a room and they're all willing and able and hungry to start living an abundant lifestyle without the trappings of the banking system, bring me in there and I'll get you started in a day. And I'll teach you how to run the systems, give you the software for free, your development, get you started in a day. And you'll all be going away with checkbooks and balances ready to start trading locally.
Beautiful.
Forever.
Beautiful. And then I just want to thank you so much, Stuart, for being here with me today and being here with us on your beautiful journey.
It's been fun.
Yeah, we've been yakking away. So, and would you like to put out again that the next level of this is finding the app magician who can help take it to the next level?
The easy way to do this with today's technology is to have this in our phones, okay? We need an I Am Here app, which says, this is Stuart Noble, he's in this town here now, this is what he's offering and this is what he wants, and he's available now. Press the button, click. Anyone in the area looking for those offers or services can find me now. That's half of the app. The other half of the app is the transaction exchange, which is a credit and debit based transaction which bounces through the cloud. We've got the templates, we've brainstormed the mind map, we know what you guys need to do. I just need the app magician who's prepared and has got the skills to create an Uber or Airbnb level app for the whole planet. You won't get paid dollars or pounds for this, whoever you are, but you will be paid in the new global credit system, and you will be able to spend that with the other members. So it's an act of faith on your part, but what we're looking for is a global standard platform for peer-to-peer currency. It's going to happen.
It is. It totally is. It is happening. Awesome. Well, I want to say thank you so much. We shall see you shortly.
Thank you, Carrie.
Have an awesome adventure on the road. And I want to remind everyone, breathe, smile,
breathe in, breathe out.
Breathe in, breathe out, smile and love. Go ahead, Stuart, what's yours?
And give and receive.
Give and receive, for as we change ourselves, we change the world. See you all soon. Ciao. Much love, many blessings.
Namaste. Namaste.
Century Superhuman, and I know that the answers are inside. Yeah, I am a 21st century superhuman. Now is the time. Come on everyone, let's celebrate. We are the children of the sun. I can see it when I look into your eyes. We are the same, we are light, yeah, we are one. Here now. my ancient prayer and sing along. We are awakening as one, and we can make a difference. Yeah, we can be the change it takes to make the world a lot more fun. But if you're feeling kinda down and you need some inspiration to remember who you are, oh, now, child, please don't frown. You can choose a new vibration, and these words can take you far. I am a 21st century superhuman, and I know that the answers are inside. I am a 21st century superhuman. Now, now, now is the time. Down and you need some inspiration to remember who you are. Whoa, now, child, please don't frown. You can choose a new vibration, and these words can take you far. I am a 21st century superhuman, and I know that the answers are inside. I am 21st century superhuman. Now, now, now is the time. I am a 21st century superhuman, and I know that the answers are inside. I am a 21st century superhuman. Now, now, now is the time. Now, now, now is the time. Now, now, now is the time. Now, now, now is the time.